Google has literally told the world exactly how they rank websites in their patents, in their internal documents, in the leaked API file that the engineers definitely were not supposed to share. There are hundreds of ranking systems that Google built to decide who shows up in search. And I've read every single one of them so that you don't have to. I run a team of 120 different SEO and AI search specialists across the world. And we've cross-referenced every single one of these across 1,000 plus real client sites and 50,000 hours of actual SEO work. This isn't my weird theories or another SEO opinion on LinkedIn. It's what Google wrote for their own engineers that I've investigated myself. Across hundreds of patents, there are dozens of these secret systems that you need to know, and one leaked API doc that revealed almost everything. All of it tested at a real scale. So if you're still taking SEO advice that contradicts Google's own documents, you're competing in 2026 with a 2018 playbook. To make this all way easier, I've distilled it down to what I'm calling Google's 3 ranking laws. The 3 ranking law cheat sheet is completely free, and it's the first link in the description, so grab it before we even start. It's completely free. I don't even ask for your email. The 3 things hard-coded in the algorithm and literally what to do for each one. Consider this to be your free cheat sheet to rank on Google. So let's dig in. Well, here's the problem with SEO in 2026. If you go on YouTube and you search how to rank on Google, you'll get 10,000, 100,000, I don't know, a million different videos, each one confidently telling you something different. None of them cite a source, they're opinions, and opinions are all conflicting with each other. But Google's not a mystery. They file these patents, and their internal documentation leaked back in 2024. I read all of it and cross-referenced it across 1,000 different real client sites. And when you strip it all back, guys, everything Google does to rank a website comes down to these 3 laws. The first law is super simple. Google doesn't just read your website, it watches what real people do on it. Before Google even cares about your content or your links, it checks what real humans do when they land on the site. And there's 2 systems that run this, and together they're the foundation of everything else is scored on top of. The first is NavBoost. It tracks what happens after someone clicks on your result in Google. So if they stay 30 seconds or more, or they don't bounce back, that's a good click. That's pretty good. But if they bounce straight back, that's a bad click. That's not so good. Your rankings are impacted massively by this, obviously. Think of it like a movie trailer. If thousands of people watch your trailer and then they immediately walk out of the cinema without wanting to buy a ticket to watch the movie, the people selling the movie slots are going to take note, right? The movie stops getting the premium screening slots. It's the same principle here. Your title and your meta descriptions are kind of a promise. So if your page doesn't deliver on that promise in the first 100 words, people bounce and then your ranking drops because Google saw what users did, that you didn't get to the point and you didn't give them what they wanted quickly enough. And the second part of this law is your identity. Google tracks your business as a named entity. Basically, if your name, address, and phone number conflict across different platforms, so it could be your site, Google Maps, review platforms, social profiles, Google's confidence in you just tanks. And that uncertainty affects every subsequent ranking decision that it makes. I've seen this trip up so many businesses that are doing everything else right. There was a client of ours, had fantastic content, really good links, great engagement, but their business name was listed 3 different ways across their different profiles. So Google Maps had one version, their website had another, and then a different directory listing had a third. And then once everything was standardized across word for word to be identical across the platforms, their local rankings started improving within weeks. It sounds too simple to be true, and that's why most businesses haven't done it, but I can tell you for a fact it works. Another tip is to get traffic to your page within 24 hours of publishing. You can do that, chuck it on social, put it out on email, honestly anywhere. But it gives Google real engagement signals on day 1. And please make sure the first 100 words deliver exactly what your title promises. Then audit your business information, the name, address, the phone number, word for word to make it identical everywhere online. That cheat sheet has a prompt to run through both for you. Google measures your people signals first, then it looks at what you're actually saying, which brings us to law 2. How Google measures your content. The second law is the one that honestly businesses just completely fail at. Because Google doesn't just check if your content's good, it checks whether it belongs in its lane and whether it adds anything new. There's 2 systems that make up this law as well. The first is about topical focus, and the second is about originality. Both are in Google's own documentation and both have a direct score. The first system's called siteFocusScore. You can think of that like a Venn diagram, honestly. The closer every page on your site sits to your core topic, the higher up your score is gonna be. So a plumbing website that blogs about cryptocurrency has got a very, very low SiteFocusScore, whereas a site entirely about commercial plumbing in Melbourne is gonna score very high. One of our clients pruned 47 off-topic pages, which sounds counterintuitive. And they'd spent years publishing content that felt really relevant, you know, industry tips, broad how-to, but none of it was really connected to their core service, at least not tightly enough. And when we focused and audited on that SiteFocusScore, it was obvious. Half their site was diluting the other half. And so when we pruned and redirected those 47 pages, traffic went up 34% within 60 days. That's that SiteFocusScore in Google's own documentation working exactly as described. The second system is originalContentScore. And this one stopped me cold when I first saw it. It was straight from the 2024 API leak, and there's a literal field in Google's system that scores how original your content is from 0 to 127. Most content strategies might look like this. You find a keyword, you Google that keyword, you read the top 5 results, you write about something covering the same ground in the same order with maybe slightly different words. Your original content score is like a 4. And they also, if you've heard me talk about, measure something called information gain. So whether your page adds anything new to what's already indexed on the web. So if everything on your page could already be found in the top 5 results for a query, you add 0, and Google's really not going to give you any credibility. You need to be adding your perspective and unique experience into your content. If it helps, you can think of it like a job interview. If every candidate just gave the same answer, nobody's going to get remembered, right? The one who says something that nobody else has, that's the one who gets the call back. So Google works the same way. If your page says the same thing as the 5 results already ranking, you're just another candidate with the same exact answer. There was a client in a B2B SaaS space we had. Project management software, super heavily contested category. And they published over 80 articles, almost all of them covering the same ground as their competitors. The best practices, how to set up, what to do, like just classic category content. And none of it was ranking for anything meaningful after 14 months. We switched their strategy. So every piece had to contain something original, whether it was a client survey result, some internal data point, especially an expert opinion that contradicted conventional wisdom. And within 90 days of publishing that first wave of original pieces, the category rankings started moving because we understood what Google's own documents tell you. The information gain and the original content score are real, measurable fields in their system. They're not opinions about what good content looks like. That's Google's 3 ranking laws in action on the content side, what Google documented and tested at scale. You've got to pick your lane, guys, and stay in it. Audit every page on your site. Does this reinforce what we are known for? If it doesn't, prune it, kill it, redirect it, get it out of it. And before publishing anything, ask yourself one question. What does this page contain that doesn't exist anywhere else on the internet? If you cannot answer that in one sentence, don't publish. I've got a prompt in the cheat sheet for this. Use it every time you're writing new content. Content gets you scored, but none of it matters if Google can't actually see your site. And the third law is the one that explains why some sites seem to rank no matter what. Law 3 is how Google measures your site. The third law is the one that reframes everything else in this video, and it is the most freaking frustrating thing I see in SEO until you understand it. You've got a business that does everything right, you know, good content, good structure, legitimate links, strong engagement signals, and they're still losing to a competitor with a shitty website, thin pages, no links, half the effort, and they're sitting above you on Google. This law explains exactly why. And once you understand it, you will never look at a competitor ranking above you the same way again. From the 2024 API link, there is a literal site-wide quality modifier applied to high authority domains. It lifts every page on the domain simultaneously, not just the pages that earned it, every page. This is why established brands sometimes outrank sites with objectively better individual pages. The modifier's doing the heavy lifting. It compounds from every quality decision, whether it's legitimate backlinks, original research, and stacks that over time into a signal that moves everything at once. There's a brand called Job Adder. They're a global recruitment SaaS platform. They came to us, they were competing in saturated markets across Australia and the UK. Their paid channels were already well optimized, but the cost per lead was just surging like most brands, and it was not sustainable. So they needed this domain level authority, which is the kind that compounds and doesn't disappear when you turn the ad spend off. We built it through original research, state of the market reports, using job adders' own platform data, the kind of content that gets cited because nobody else has those numbers. Then we got 58 media placements across publications, including news.com.au, HR Daily, and 38 other high authority backlinks pointing deep into their product pages, not just the homepage. That resulted in 361% increase in organic traffic in Australia. Their ranking for ATS software went from position 66 to number 1, and their top of funnel conversions went from 7 to 174. That's the modifier working across every page at once. Stop optimizing single pages in isolation. Every quality decision you make compounds into domain level signals that eventually lift everything at once. And the cheat sheet walks you through exactly how to build that systematically. That's Google's 3 ranking laws. To recap, the first law is how Google measures people, your engagement signals and your identity. The second law is how Google measures your content, your topical focus and your originality. And the third law is how Google measures your site, how authority compounds across every page at once. Hundreds of patents, dozens of systems, distilled down into 3 laws, and literally what to do for each one. If you've been getting contradictory SEO advice for years and had no way to check whether any of it was true, this is the source. Google wrote it. I just read it and made it usable for you. So the 3 ranking laws cheat sheet has every system mapped to plain English, including the prompts that I mentioned throughout, all on one page. It's the first link in the description. Download it, give it a whirl. And if you want to see how these same laws drive what gets recommended in AI search, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, or Claude, I studied 100 e-commerce websites to show you exactly how it plays out. If you click here, I'll see you on the other side.